What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fight Junkeez. We're here. We're live. I'm sitting here with King David MMA.
Wah, wah, wah. Let's go.
It's a beautiful Monday in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's getting warm outside. If you live in this beautiful state, make sure you're staying hydrated. How's everybody doing? How you doing, bud?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to be back. I've had some people say, where have you guys been? Well, there's been some construction going on in the studio. They're doing a lot of upgrades, new green rooms for a lot of the guests, and we had a week off, which our producers and editors and engineers, they definitely needed. They work very hard. So I'm stoked to be back, full of energy, and there's a lot to talk about in the MMA community, in the fight world in general. You know, boxing, all kinds of stuff's been going on. What you been up to, man?
Man, you know, out here staying politically correct, trying not to get canceled. I don't want to upset the alphabet people. So we're going to keep it very MMA related today.
Yep.
Nothing too controversial.
Absolutely. Because we love everybody. We love everybody.
There you go.
So there's been a lot going on. We had 2 fight cards since the last time I've been in here. We had the championship bout, Henry Cejudo versus Aljamain Sterling in Newark, New Jersey, which was a pretty dope card. Love the card. And then there was a fight night with Rosenstruck versus Almeida a couple days ago. And then there's another fight night coming up next weekend, but I'll talk about that this Thursday. I'll be at that fight with my old man. He's coming in from the East Coast to Las Vegas for the first time. I think it's going to be the first time that the UFC has had a 9/11 first responder that was in the rubble in the UFC Apex. So let's go.
Clap it up for that. Clap it up for the first responders.
We clap for freedom, baby. We clap for freedom.
We never forget.
Hell no. Hell no. That's why I went to Iraq. Let's get into it. I'm going to look at my notes. Let's start with Aljamain and Cejudo. Did you obviously watch the fights?
First of all, let's get Aljamain his Olympic gold medal. Because he took that man down.
What, 5 times?
Let's go. So I'm expecting to see a little gold medallion around that gold necklace soon.
I think if anyone would do it, it would be him. He would certainly go buy something to troll Henry. It was a good fight. What did you think about the fight? How would you break it down?
I was extremely impressed with Aljamain. The last time that we were on, we were discussing Francis Ngannou versus John Jones, and I said that wrestling is much different in MMA for various reasons. One of them being a cage. But Aljamain is excellent against the cage and with cage wrestling and cage counter wrestling, and that showed in the fight. I was extremely impressed with his ability to not only offensively wrestle, but defensively wrestle from like bad positions as well. So there were some times where Henry would have him in like front headlock situations, and Aljo was able to remain calm, stay composed, and in certain situations he even reversed those. And Henry's an Olympic champion. Although he's a tiny little man, he has a large head, and sometimes people. I got a big head too, so sometimes people.
It comes in handy,
right? Yeah, people with large heads tend to have deceptive strength, and despite the fact that he is a master of leverage, Aljamain was able to reverse him. So I thought that was pretty nuts.
Yeah, he did. Man, you could just see the wrestling pedigree every time that they clinched, and like the way that. How technical Cejudo was when he did, grab onto him. You could see in the middle there was a difference. But yeah, once they went up to that cage, granted, he's been out for 3 years. He's 36 years old. He did not look like he used to look. Granted, he's fighting at 135 instead of 125. But I got to give it to the guy. He went in after 3 years, up a weight class. I mean, let's be honest. I know he had the belt. But, I mean, Aljo's a big dude. I think Aljamain posted a picture to Twitter and Instagram. He was at 164 2 days after the fight. You're shaking your head? Yeah. So,
well, I've trained with Aljamain a couple times, and one thing that I did notice was I was surprised by how large he was in person for a 135er. So I asked him what he was walking at the time, and he was 171 pounds, and he still had abs. And I was 171 pounds, and I did not have abs. And I was like, this guy fights at, at the time I'm fighting at 155. He's 2 weight classes lower than me, and he's the same weight, and he's leaner than me. So Aljamain is a large gentleman for the bantamweight division, and I think that in some of those, over under or body lock clinching type situations, a little bit of that like horsepower came through.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Henry was ready for that, because there's something about Aljamain. I think it might be like he has a bit of a baby face or something. People just think he's like a weenie, dude. And everyone's like, oh man, I'll kill that guy. That guy doesn't deserve to be champ. Oh, I'm going to walk through him. It's like, bro, he's the champ for a reason. He's got like one of the best win streaks on the planet, and you don't just get that by accident. So
yeah, he's the winningest. They like to say that word, the winningest bantamweight champ in the world right now when it comes to that division. Austin, what's up? Yep.
So I started a poll so everybody can go and answer it. I asked, should Aljo get an Olympic gold medal for wrestling?
Perfect.
We should tell him we'll get him one if he comes on the show. Aljamain,
we will.
You got to come on Fight Junkeez champ, and I will personally get you a very cheap plastic gold medal.
We'll make a podium for him, and I'll stand in second or third, and I'll wear like an old singlet, even though it doesn't fit me
We'll
anymore.
dress you up like Henry Cejudo and put you in second place.
There we go.
But I want to touch on that subject though. People relate some of the cringe. You got no disrespect to both those guys, but I'm going to keep it real. They're both kind of dorky.
Right.
You know what I mean? No bullshit. Maybe people think I'm dorky. I personally think they come across like they try a little too hard. The cringe does it on purpose. I don't know if Aljo's doing it on purpose. I don't think so. But that has nothing to do with the ability to beat the shit out of somebody. You know what I mean?
And when they booed Aljo on the East Coast,
they're so wishy-washy.
And there's just something about certain people that come across wrong. Because I've met Aljo, and he's a chill dude.
I've met him a couple. He's super, super cool.
Right.
But what he portrays, and granted, I'm not on a stage in front of millions of people. Maybe I certainly do not act identical in this studio to what I do outside. Something with the camera being on, you act a little different. But yeah, it's a little cringy. But the dude is a savage. Where does he go from here? I've heard some rumors. Cejudo's coach, who wears the crazy glasses, was on Ariel Helwani's the MMA Hour talking about Cejudo should fight Merab next, and then he beats the number one contender. Then he could fight again for the belt. Merab may go right for the belt, and Aljamain may go right up. But granted, I think he's got the skills for 145. I think he has the size for 145. But the champ, Volkanovski, publicly said it's not enough. You got to do something more spectacular if you want to come up to 145 and get a chance at the champ. So what do you think about him going up to 145s?
I think he's got the reach, the range, the length for 145. Volkanovski is a unique individual. Volkanovski, I mean, he was 200 plus pounds playing professional rugby, and some people would speculate that he may have been medicated in order to have that much muscle mass. But when
medicated,
right? When I met Volkanovski, one thing that stood out about him, he looked like he had very high bone density. If that makes any sense, he wasn't super tall, but he was another person in the large head crew, and then he also had like kind of like bony dinosaur like hands. If that makes any sense,
he looks like a garden gnome.
Yeah, right. Like a very dense individual, like a highly talented garden gnome. That's a good way of putting it.
And if I saw him in my front lawn,
right,
it would scare the dog shit out of me.
Yeah, running with the rugby ball in the front lawn.
Yeah, he's a tree trunk. He's a fire hydrant. He's a gnome. Savage.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting stylistic matchup between him and Aljo, because Aljo does have the opposite level of deception where a lot of people underestimate Aljo. And I think Volkanovski might be doing that as well. But there's certain attributes that Aljo has. Like, he's much, much statically stronger than you would think just looking at him. You're like, oh, that guy might look explosive or something, but he's got a static hold that when you're grappling with him is like, oh, this is a little different than what I'm used to. And he also has a deceptive ability that when you're sparring him, you think that you're in a range where you cannot be head kicked, but he has, I guess you would call it like a hip flexibility about him, that he can kick you in very close quarters all the way up to your head, if that makes any sense.
He's very awkward, right? He closes the distance.
Yeah, he's got unique abilities that may not come across on camera until you're in front of him. And then when you're in there with him, and, we weren't going live or anything like that. We were, controlled sparring and everything. it's like, oh, okay, I get what people are saying when they're like, it's different when you're in there with him. He definitely has a unique style and a unique funk about him. And that's why he's the funk master.
Exactly. All right. Well, I'm excited to see that division's pretty stacked.
I think he's gonna kind of ball up Sean O'Malley personally.
I was just gonna say, before we go anywhere else, we got to bring up O'Malley getting in the octagon. Dana said that wasn't one of his smartest decisions because of the way it went. I think it was great press. It certainly went viral. I don't know. Aljo's either going to wrestle fuck him for 5 rounds and beat the shit out of him, hold him down, or he's going to be able to keep the. I love O'Malley. I'm a huge dick rider for Sean O'Malley. He's a savage, but I don't know if his wrestling pedigree is going to be good enough for the champ. But I know he has that knockout power. So if he can keep that distance. He's almost 6. He's 5'11". He's got the power. He did great against Jan, but Jan's not trying to take him down as much as Sterling's going to. So,
and what's Jan, 5'6"?
Yeah, he's
right. And to me, that plays directly into O'Malley's game, which is be long, rangy striker. Even though Peter Yan, is highly touted as an excellent boxer. Listen, man, when you got half a foot on somebody, it's still there. That presents a challenge in itself to even get into the range to box, especially when O'Malley has a good kicking game as well. And then when it comes to Aljamain Sterling, Aljamain is similar size to O'Malley, which I'm not sure when the last time we saw someone similar size to O'Malley fight him was maybe Chito Vera. And, Aljo took down an Olympic gold medalist. So, that would lead us to believe that if he does get his hands locked on Sean O'Malley, that Sean O'Malley will be fighting his way up from bottom at some point and may expose his back, at which point Aljamain is pretty talented at locking that body lock and not getting off your back like a backpack. So
yeah, I'm excited for him. He had a lot of stuff that he went through when he first got the belt, but he's obviously proven himself time and time again. So bantamweight division's pretty stacked. I'm super stoked for that. I do want to see Cody Garbrandt versus Dominic Cruz too.
Oh, what is that happening?
I'm not sure, but I think it's out there.
We're calling for it.
You're looking at me.
For it.
No,
did you read about it?
Yeah, I for sure read about it. I think Cody needs to get in there and get that dance win again, like he did with Dom the last time. I watched that one live, and I was like, this man has no chill in the best way.
That was the best at that time. He was the best.
Yeah, he was.
Obviously, he was a champ.
Yeah, I mean, but
the best he was personally,
100%
in his career. Yeah.
How do you dance on Dominic Cruz like that? How do you do the robot after punching him?
He's just a complete savage. So that division's pretty stacked. The next division that's super stacked, which is closer to your weight class, it was the co-main event. Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Holy smoke. What do you, before we dive into that, what do you think about back-to-back fighting? Like I know you guys will do it. You guys are nuts. I'll go back on patrol every single day. I've done it. Is it smart? Obviously, we see that Gilbert Burns, if he won, he would have got a title shot. But now he's hurt. He's got like knees torn, his shoulder. How do you feel about getting back in there?
Yeah, they put a meme of him up where it was like, here's his injuries. And it was like almost the entire side of his body is torn. So torn AC joint, torn deltoid, like et cetera, et cetera. Apparently he's got a knee injury as well. So I would say that the metric for making a quick return is how healthy you are. So for example, when Kamzat went, what was it, like a week later or 2 weeks later?
It was like 8 days.
Yes. It's something. Well, he didn't take any damage in that fight. So that's like, a minute of grappling somebody and then going back and then doing that again. That's pretty.
He was okay. He didn't get hurt. Yeah.
Right. Whereas I think Gilbert Burns may have been a little overly ambitious considering the fact that he's got a list of injuries now. I'm not sure if all those injuries happened in the fight with Bilal, but if he was going in injured against a top level opponent, then that is definitely an uphill battle. And at that point, on one hand, you got to believe in yourself, but on the other hand, you have to give yourself the best opportunity of victory as well. So it's like, where's that balance at?
And I feel like Bilal, for some reason, is another in the same category as Aljo. He's kind of overlooked. He's a little dicey, but he's a savage.
Right.
What is he, 10-0?
Yeah, he keeps winning. And people keep like, oh, yeah, like overlooking him. And it's like, the metric we should be looking at is like the outcome, right? So if the outcome is he's got 10 wins in a row against people who are signed to the UFC, that's probably a good metric to evaluate his prowess as a martial artist, as opposed to, oh, I feel like, he's not that good. Well, dude, your feelings don't matter. The results matter.
Facts.
So, right.
He's
before we start
savage.
getting off topic and start ranting about people's feelings.
Yeah.
We
don't want to hurt anybody's feelings today.
Let's go.
It's a beautiful Monday.
Yes. So yeah,
where we go
shout
from
out
here?
to Gilbert Burns for being a real one, for stepping in there. That
he fought
right
Jorge Masvidal 4 weeks before in Miami. So
yeah, and had he pulled it out, we'd be singing his praises and saying he's a genius. So
yeah, that's
you got to risk it to get the biscuit. Unfortunately, he did not get the biscuit this time, but he put his nuts on the table, and I always have respect for that. So
it's one of the things I hate the most, especially like the crowd going back and forth. If he would have won, it would have been like, he's a savage, he's a beast, blah, blah, blah. But, the MMA fans are so wishy-washy, man. They just jump, I mean, they were literally all about Aljo in the press conference the day before. And then they're, back and forth, Cejudo, booing Aljo. Yeah, it blows my mind. You got booed in one of the most spectacular shit-talking events post-finish of a fight I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I've been booed multiple times. I believe the one that you're referring to, I mean, I did call the crowd moronic Montana meatballs.
Oh, it was well-deserved.
Before they started throwing beer at me, you know what I mean? But I also said that I will slap the taste out of their inbred mouths, so I kind of understood the boos. They were a bit justified, but, and that's funny too, because they threw beer and water bottles at me. I didn't get hit at all. But my manager, as we're walking out, he was an amateur champion, and he's a Taekwondo black belt, and he wrestled at, I believe, Arizona State, and he's a real one. Roman, with Roman Athletic Institution. But so he was cornering me, and as we're leaving, they have to take us back up the ramp because they won't bring me through the crowd as they're supposed to, because obviously the crowd's trying to murder me. And he ended up getting hit with a full 16-ounce water bottle to the back, and he's like, dude, it hurt so bad. He's like, I couldn't give him the satisfaction of turning around, though. So
yeah, you can't look back.
Yeah, you can't look back at all. You just have to act like it didn't hurt. So shout out to Roman for that one.
Yeah, we got to post. I'm gonna get some of that footage from you. I want to put that on Fight Junkeez. Probably the best shit I've seen in a long time, besides the Colby Covington in Brazil. All right, moving on. Something I'm very excited about. The casuals may not be, but I am. Dana White brought up going to China for a pay-per-view.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you saw the spectacular knockout. I'm a big fan of Jessica Andrade, but she got stole on in that event.
Yeah,
and now we have
she usually does the stealing on.
Yeah, she's a complete savage.
Right, yeah.
She's usually the one, I mean, former champion. But now we got a possible China main event. Chinese on Chinese. Wei Li versus Yan. Both complete savages. I don't think this obviously it's probably never happened in UFC history or fight history where two of the champ and then the number one contender are both from China, and they can go to China and do a pay-per-view. Now, I don't know what's going on in that part of the world anymore.
Call Sleepy Joe, he knows.
Yeah, Sleepy Joe knows.
Where's the laptop, my guy?
I don't know if you got to be triple vaccinated to go there, but tell me that would sell. Look, we have, as Americans, I've traveled different countries. We're kind of like in a box, and we think just America. Rightfully so. America's the best. Red, white, and blue. But there's a whole lot more people in the rest of the world. I think we're not even 0.5% of the 7 billion plus that are in this world in America. If they actually, I mean, that's why one championship, if you look at the numbers, have done tremendously larger numbers than a lot of the other organizations, to include, I think, the UFC. If the UFC goes to China with two Chinese contenders, champ versus number one, I think it does like 2.5 million pay-per-view buys. Just going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, that will be a direct. I mean, I would imagine it'd be direct competition for ONE FC, because UFC is now going to start let's call it
venturing.
Venturing into the Asian market very, very strongly, because both of those girls can fight. And when you watch that fight back and you look at how crisp that girl's hands are, and there's something about that type of, let's say, culture where people are there's almost like a discipline that's different in that part of the world.
Extremely.
Where everything is drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled. And
they have values and manners and respect. What is that, bro?
That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing that stands out to me when I watch those girls, is how precise and technically correct everything is. Right. Yeah. And it just kind of reminds me of when you watch the Olympics and you see like gymnasts, and it's like, how do they get their body to do that? And it's like, yeah, man, like tens of thousands of repetitions with someone who's a stickler right there watching everything to make sure it's perfect. And that's what those two girls look like to me. Is two fighters who have someone watching them and won't let them stop until it's perfect.
I think that could be possible fight of the year. I don't see them. It's either going to be over real quick and disappoint everybody that flew and traveled and paid all that money, or it's going to be like a 5-round banger back and forth. I don't know. UFC China, let's make it happen. I want to go. That'd be dope. My nephew's half Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah, my sister-in-law's from China. So I support the Chinese.
Hey.
That's my blood. It's my little nephew. All right, let's move on to... I'm very excited to ask you about this, because no disrespect to the Gracie family. If it wasn't for the Gracies, we would not be here. I also don't want to get jumped anywhere I go in America. But I have to bring it up. Kron Gracie came back after a couple of years. I think his last fight was 2019, maybe. And he fought Charles Jourdain. Did you watch the fight?
I did watch the fight.
Okay.
That was interesting.
It was interesting. Because
I mean, after the fight, Dana said it looked like it was, the
90s.
like 1993. And I would say that Kron's game is more advanced than the 93 version of jiu-jitsu. But at the same time, the challenge with jiu-jitsu in general in mixed martial arts is that, let's say you grapple for 5 minutes in the gym. Well, in the fight, you might not get the fight to the ground until 2 minutes or 3 minutes into the fight. So unless you've been replicating like 90-second rounds and just getting everybody out of there in 90 seconds, your thought process might be on a 5-minute timeline, but in the fight, or, some people even grapple like 10-minute matches for black belt divisions, right? Well, then you get in the fight and then you've got 90 seconds to finish somebody. And then they're just keeping their elbows to their rib cage, and they're like, dude, I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to open my elbow. And
yeah, what are you going to do? I'm just staying in your guard. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like to see Kron maybe even strike more from guard if he insists on being in guard, if that makes any sense.
I don't think he wanted to be there. Forget in guard. I don't think, just looking at his energy, and no disrespect to him, but like, he's got everything he could probably ever want. He's got the money, he's got the fame, he's got the accolades, he's got, it's like he's a Gracie. He is Kron Gracie. I don't think he wanted to be there, man. And it might have showed, or maybe he's so confident in his grappling ability that he thinks like it doesn't really matter if and I'm not saying he doesn't work on striking. He's got some pretty good striking, and he's a tough son of a bitch. He could take a hit. Because Jourdain's nasty on his feet. That
part was super impressive. He was getting hit with straight, clean shots and like just kind of like walking forward, like, hey,
like nothing, zombie.
Yeah. At one point I thought, he was gonna, get put out, but he got through the fight, and that's an impressive thing to do in itself. Is those gloves aren't soft, man. Those punches were coming and they were landing, and dude, to walk forward through that shows the ability to deal with a lot of adversity. But I'd like to see him strike more. Like,
I'd like to see him go back into the grappling community and take on Gordon Ryan in a year at the ADCC 2024. Like, I don't know. There's just some people are certain things, like you're a well-rounded mixed martial artist. You went into this years ago to be a mixed martial artist. Some people went into grappling as a child. He probably was doing jiu-jitsu and pulling guard on his dad when he was 18 months old.
Right.
That's okay to be in a certain lane. Like, I know my lane. I'm just a good-looking, tatted-up, sexy dude with a hot wife. That's my lane. It's okay.
Right.
It's okay, guys.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's okay to be handsome,
It's
charming,
cool.
charismatic, powerful, masculine,
Ignorant.
and be the envy of
Full of
other
ego.
men. That's fine.
It's fine.
Right.
It's cool.
Own that.
But that's my lane.
Yes.
That's why God blessed me with 2 daughters.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. He's humbling me.
Revenge.
But I think his lane is grappling, and I think
Right.
I don't know. It was a little lackluster. I was disappointed. The name has become bigger than the fighter, and
Well, and I also feel like a lot of the philosophy, from what I understand Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to be, is like, in a no time limit fight, if you survive and the other person fatigues, then you win because you will submit them. That is a very different mindset than a 3 5-minute rounds where only half of the round is grappling.
he said that.
Right.
I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but he did say same thing. Nate Diaz said, "I've never lost a fight.
Right.
Like, just because the bell ring, like, you didn't beat my ass, you ain't shit. Like, I didn't actually lose the fight."
Right.
I think if Jourdain and Cron were in the middle of a field on a Saturday night, at a carnival in Mississippi, I think Cron wins because he's going to go an hour.
Right.
And he's going to get that ankle. He's going to get that neck. But yeah, like you said, these are 3 5-minute rounds. I think the ref could have kind of, I don't know, man. I wasn't really impressed with, I've been unimpressed with the reffing, especially, and we're going to get into the fight night from Saturday.
Before we get into that, let me ask you this.
Because you posted your friend, the German girl. So I definitely want to talk about
let's
that.
Go. Does Dana cut Cron at this point?
I think Cron cuts himself.
Okay. That's
He just had a statement too. Cronda, he said that he fought that way due to bad advice. He said he's going back to the old ways.
And there was no more context to that?
No, that was I think MMA Junkie posted. So that's all they posted.
I don't know.
Very mysterious, very vague.
I want to know what
Very
the old ways are.
Very cryptic.
Cron Gracie, we're here in Las Vegas. I will come to California, Brazil. I want to get you on Fight Junkies.
He will do the podcast as long as the entire podcast you remain in his guard.
Hey, that might be an idea there.
There you go.
I'm down.
Do a
The
podcast,
podcast
get
goes
choked
as
out.
long as you can not get submitted. So yeah.
I might as well just shake his hand, say hello.
Get a picture and be like, all right,
15
thank you,
seconds.
sir.
All right, so let's get into the fight night last week. Did you watch Fight Night Charlotte?
I watched several of the fights. I did not catch the whole event. I was at Extreme Couture, the best facility on the planet for martial arts, training for my own career. And then when I got home, I watched what I could.
So the main event was Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I can't even say his name. And then Almeida, Jaltina Almeida. Almeida, if you don't know, is now 5-0 in the heavyweight division. He's taken less damage and less strikes than Hamzat did. So the only difference is it was COVID. He fought 2 times in 8 days, and the UFC just skyrocketed Hamzat. Granted, he's more of a striker. This guy's tapping everybody out. Similar to you, 5-0 submissions.
Let's go.
Let's go. We need some more of these. Ding, ding, ding.
Dings.
The studio, yeah, it's got stuff all over the place. Fight Junkies, baby. Let's get it. I need a Red Bull. But that was the main event. I was not disappointed that he won. I was disappointed for somebody I know who had a really nice parlay. Who, if he would have lost, if Rozenstruik would have knocked him out, they would have, cashed in almost 8,000 or something like that.
It was
on a
almost
parlay.
7, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but I want to get into your friend. Obviously, I don't. Do you know the Deutschlander herself, Bohm, or are you just a supporter? Have you trained with her? Yeah. Oh, they live out here, right?
Yeah, Mandy trains at Extreme Couture, and so does her husband. And her husband is, I believe, 9-1 or 10-1 in the 135-pound division.
In the UFC?
Yeah. No, not in UFC. He's like one step away from being signed, but he is.
We should get them on here. I speak German.
Oh, do you?
Ja, natürlich, auf alle Fälle. Spreche jeden Tag.
Oh, that's, hey, listen. New market.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get all of Germany. Let's
German
go.
junkies, let's go. Yeah. So Mandy is a sweetheart, and so my ex-girlfriend trains at Extreme Couture as well. Her name's Jessalyn Michelle, and she
Is that awkward?
In ways, and in other ways, it's awesome. She, well, first of all, Jessalyn's awesome. She's one of the baddest women I've ever met on the planet.
She's over there like choking out the doll, looking at you like motherfucker.
Yeah, she's in the corner right now. She's threatening me that if I don't speak highly of her, she's going to choke me out.
Stabbing a heavy bag.
But yeah, so Mandy and Jessalyn get really good rounds in together, and Mandy's super sweet. And you know, that fight was interesting because Mandy had health issues the first time it was scheduled, and you know, had to be rescheduled. And now they fought, and you know, G, who I've also been around in the gym, seems like a nice person, but
her opponent,
right? And you know, she's multiple fouls in the same fight. So
if you didn't watch it, there was a knee to a downed opponent. There was also a kick after the bell,
right to like the face.
But I think,
or was it to the chest?
No. But watching it back, I think she was just kind of returning the favor.
Was she?
Yeah, watching it looked like she was grabbing her, like holding on to her, and she just was like, "Get the hell off me!" But it was still after the bell. But
right.
I mean, you guys are in a fight. Like, I've been in a lot of fights. Like, I don't even remember half the shit. Right. So whatever. That ref, you suck. Don't ever get in an octagon again. Don't. If you're a chef, go cook. If you work at McDonald's, go to McDonald's. You might be a podcaster. Don't ref again. How the hell? These fighters, you're like, this dude like took 5 minutes before he went back and then was taking points. DC, I've never ever heard Dominic Cruz and DC live on air during a fight night actively talk shit about the referee. They were going in on this guy. And if they're doing it, double champ, one of the greatest of all time bantamweight, obviously you suck. So with all due respect, sir, sorry.
Yeah, so
that shit pissed me off.
That's a challenge in itself, right? It's like, how are these people getting licensed to be in the positions that they're in? Not the refs, the judges. There was a fight on the card with another one of my teammates, and you know, there was an up kick from the bottom to the face.
Yes.
And then he's like, I don't know how to restart it. It's like, dude,
he started him back up.
Right. That's a leg drag, bro. Like, it's a very common position in jiu-jitsu and martial arts in general. Like, how do you not know what that position is? Like, how are you a referee and you can't recreate that position?
Well, they get off. There's no consequence. Right. I think Dana's just in a position in his life now where like he's getting older. He said, I'm tired, guys. I don't have the energy. He has the energy, but he doesn't have that anger. You know, 20 years ago, Dana would have probably took Chuck Liddell's mohawk off and beat him with it. But Dana, you know, he said, you know, and it makes sense. These guys in these smaller towns, like Charlotte's not a small city, but they don't go there often. So the referees and the staff don't have a lot of experience. I counter that and say, if you don't have the experience, don't go.
Yeah, can't we fly Herb Dean in?
Let's go.
You know.
Yeah, you shouldn't be in there if you cannot do the job efficiently. This isn't Starbucks.
I mean, it could be as easy as like, who has the least amount of like complaints? I mean, like actually filed complaints against them.
Let's get your jacket. I want to see.
And then like, if this person has X amount of complaints, then they are on some form of probationary review, and you know, they have to pass some kind of testing of various positions that they understand what they are. And you know, this could be public, so everyone could go see who's the most accurate ref or accurate judge. I remember one time I was at a local event, and my teammate had someone in half guard in a locked Kimura and was like ripping the Kimura, and the ref stands it up. And I'm like, what the F is going on? And then, you know, the ref turned out to be Cecil Peoples, and I talked to him after the fight, and I was like, hey, why on earth would you stand that up? He's like, oh, he needs to advance position. And I'm like, he has him in a Kimura. He's like, yeah, but he wasn't advancing. And I'm like, bro, you stood him back up and my guy got knocked unconscious, right? He's got to take brain trauma because you don't understand what a Kimura is. How are you in charge of these people's lives, their health, their safety, their livelihood? Like, if someone, God forbid, ever died, is that when we're going to go say, hey, we need to, you know, change the reffing? Is that?
Dude, I would never, ever deploy back to the Middle East with anyone in any leadership position above me that has not been there.
Right.
Not happening. Because as soon as bullets start flying, I know what they're going to do. They're going to put their head between their legs and kiss their own ass goodbye. Everybody's a tough guy until they're getting kicked in the face or bullets are flying.
Really, though, like at what point is something going to happen with the refs? If someone gets their facial structure broken, if someone gets head trauma and, you know, has some form of brain disease, like someone dies.
Can
like,
the UFC have their own
right.
refs? Like, I know they have some, right? And I'm asking because I don't know. But I know that there's different athletic commissions per states, and they hire their own staff. You think the UFC could just sanction their own refs and take them everywhere?
I would say that if they did that, there would be a lot of accusations of fight fixing.
Gotcha.
Because let's say Conor gets a call that the crowd disagrees with because the ref saw it the way the ref saw it while the ref is in the octagon. Everyone's going to conspiracy theory that they have an earpiece and that Dana's in the back telling them, stand Conor up, you know. So, I mean, people conspiracy theorize that now, that's what's happening in a lot of these fights. And, you know, the refs are from the athletic commission. So, yeah, there's got to be a solution. I would say the first thing would be some form of accountability where if a ref, everybody agrees the ref screwed up in multiple fights on that fight card. So if the entire public agrees, everyone, I'm a black belt, that like there's UFC champions that agree, 2-time UFC champions, everybody agrees, except nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, no. Sounds like Congress.
Uh-oh.
I want to get into Johnny Walker, Anthony Smith. Did you watch that fight?
No,
Did you watch some highlights?
I was driving home, but I had my buddy Jesse on fire. I was.
Right. Savage.
Yeah. So
shout out to Jesse on Fire. I'd love to get you on Fight Junkeez, bro.
Yeah. I had hopped on his live at the gym with. So I'm thinking like we're gonna have a nice kumbaya. So Chris Curtis is right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey Chris, you want to jump on this live? He's like, who's it with? And I was like, Jesse on Fire. And he's like, fuck that guy. And I'm like, what? And he's like, fuck that guy. I'm like, bro, what happened? He's like, I just remember I used to watch him. And then he said some bad stuff about me. And Chris Curtis is King Petty. It's like the king of petty. Like
I think it's great though. I'm petty too.
Right. So he'll bring a screenshot from like 7 years ago of somebody who said something to him in like, you know, like a high school friend or something.
Dude, I'll bring a note that was on the side of a milk carton in kindergarten.
Yeah. So
I'm petty as hell.
Yeah. So everybody who's petty loves that. Like when you find someone else that's petty, it's like, oh, we're petty brethren.
I'm the ultimate blocker. You even give me a smidgen of bad energy.
Right.
Fucking gone. Oh, bad. Gone. Block. My circle's so small, I almost don't even have a circle because I don't care about anything. I'm almost 40 years old. I don't have time. Nobody's going to benefit my life. They're not paying my bills. No. Bye. See ya.
Dude, I've got a file of screenshots ready to go. The second I get signed, I'm putting everybody on blast.
Everybody that said you wouldn't make it.
Backlog. I've got a list of people that like, yeah, bro, I keep notes. If I get hit in a way I don't like in sparring, I have a hit list. You know what I mean? So Chris Curtis, he's got a hit list of like, let's call it MMA commentators.
Yeah, he's a man. He remembers shit.
Yeah.
Man.
So he would not hop on the live. He told me, tell Jesse to suck his nuts. I said, you want me to say that verbatim? He said, yes, tell him that. So I hop on the live, with Jesse thinking it's going to be all fun and games. But, I was like, let me go back so I can watch the fights. So I drove home and I had Jesse on Fire on in the car while I was driving. So I did not see it live, but I got the play-by-play.
Okay. I also missed some of it live. I was out doing some husband stuff with my wife. We had some things we had to take care of.
I heard the story was there was a lot of low kicks going on.
Well, It was more of a lackluster fight. Yes.
Right.
What I'm referring to is, everybody knows Anthony Smith had some crackhead break into his house on meth or crack or whatever. Right. And he fought this dude. It was a big thing. Big story a couple years ago.
On meth or meth-like substances?
Yes. He was on something. It wasn't Red Bull. During the fight, Anthony Smith is looking at... I've never seen this before, but I get it. He's looking at his opponent. He's looking at Walker going, why are you trying to hurt my family? you're fucking with my family.
Right.
And then Walker's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're trying to hurt my family. He's trying to psych himself out. Man, if I get it, but I don't know. Maybe it works for him. It obviously didn't work that night. Have you ever done that? Like this guy just tried to, get with my girl behind my back. I'm going to beat the shit out of him. It was weird to see.
There's been points in fights. I remember I was in Florida. There was, maybe 12,000 people there. It was where the Tampa Bay Lightning play. And I'm getting my face elbowed through the freaking canvas. And I'm just like, dude, this is terrible. This is not how I saw this going at all. And every time like an elbow drops on my facial features, like I just hear the crowd like, yeah, right? Or like I'll hear, kill him, boom, and I just like, and then it's like a flash, pop,
slap his chest,
right? Yeah, and so it's like these people are really like, on one hand, screaming for my death. I don't think they really mean it, but they're literally saying kill him, and then I'm getting hit, and it's like flashing, and at one point I'm like, I can't lose in front of my mom. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
sink it in.
I got to keep fighting. I was like, I got to figure this out. So. Sometimes you have interesting thoughts while you're in there, and a lot of it kind of gets primal and turns back into like some form of like protecting your family or, caring about your family's opinion of you. Yep. Or like, dude, like
every time I got into like,
I'm not gonna have my mom cry.
No,
so
it's mom.
I'm gonna kill this dude, right? Like, I don't care that, my orbital bone is broken right now.
It's coming out of your eye.
Right.
Yeah. Every time I got into I was stuck on a rooftop in Iraq. Actually, with my first sergeant, we went through a library. We were clearing a library, and we thought there was a sniper. Look, every Thursday there's weddings out there. Every single day they're shooting AKs into the sky, and you just don't know if it's a bad guy. Or it could be a party, right, a 16-year-old Al Qaeda, and we were stuck on this roof during the midday, and it was hot. For some reason, whenever we're getting shot at, I always have to eat. That's like my adrenaline thing. So like I'm a honey bun guy because you get a lot of honey buns in Iraq. They just give you boxes and you just put them in your Humvee. So it's funny. You were thinking about your mom. Every time I was in some like, oh, this sucks, I'm probably not going to make it, I'd just eat. Yeah, it's my weird tick. If there's any other veterans out there that eat during firefights, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.
But yeah, is this a common behavior that when the gunfire starts sounding that, we revert to honey buns? I've never been in a combat situation in that extent.
Very similar, though, getting elbowed in the face by a pro fighter.
Yeah, and I lived a different life previous to martial arts. I have been shot at in a street environment, but I've never been shot at in a combat situation.
Same shit, right?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's gunfire. Okay, it just got real.
Yeah,
real. That's as real as it gets. Like when that happens. So
yeah, especially when a roadside bomb hit your truck first.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm fortunate. Hey, listen, it's good that we both are in a different place now. So.
Oh, that was 17 years ago. I was talking to my buddy. Actually, last night I went to the store. I had to get baby formula. Nobody cares, but I meet a lot of vets, but I don't meet a lot of military police officers. And I met a guy who was also an MP like me. It was pretty cool. I gave him a hug. I could tell, he's been through some shit, so we connected. And shout out to my vets.
I've got a question about that. So I don't know too much about the actual, let's say, assignment of military positioning, but I heard that if you are a little, let's say, this isn't the accurate word, but just kind of crazy, then you are more likely to be moved to military police. Is that accurate? Like you got a little something like a...
I think, no.
Okay.
No. I think we're all kind of half retarded.
Okay.
But I think it's the ASVAB score. So I could have been infantry or an MP, and they're kind of, when you're in a combat environment.
Right.
I was with 101st anyway. Randy Couture, 101st.
Let's go.
1st Armored Division. We were, underneath the 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 101st Airborne. My dad's also 101st. So we did nothing but light infantry combat patrols. Anyway, and that's where I competed. I was, I'll show you some of my certificates and awards. There was a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of grappling, and in the finals, full striking, full MMA over there. It was pretty cool because when you get to train, you got to like go to the gym and hit the mats and not go on patrol.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I did the
You're like,
one.
I'm going to train a lot.
170 to 100. It was 10-pound weight classes.
Right.
And I got second overall in the 170 to 180. I lost the main event to, I forget his name. Really, he was a good friend of mine. I forget his name. It's been almost 20 years. Big, like built like Aljo, big black dude. He was a 2-time wrestling state champ.
Oh.
And I was this dude just bodied me, I had no chance. Just treated me like a toddler. Just too strong, too big.
Right, yeah, and there's a skill gap that can't be easily overcome.
No,
right.
no.
So if you've wrestled for a decade, then
I'm screwed. I'm a mother in a gunfight, so that's okay. And Second Amendment's pretty great out in Nevada. All right, what is going on with you? We're almost out of time. We got about 10 more minutes. I appreciate you coming in. I'm seeing this 10X. You got to tell me about this 10X.
Yeah, shout out to Grant Cardone.
Excuse me, allergies.
Yeah, shout out to Grant Cardone, 10X. Let's get it. Yeah, so every morning we're recording this, at 9 in the morning, 9:15. 9:30, right? 9:30. We were recording this at 9:30 in the morning.
Oh, no, I'm gonna hold it in. I don't want to mess you up.
Right. Yeah. So typically, when I start my morning, I start it with some form of either spiritual or motivational type of podcast. So Grant Cardone is one of my favorite people. He's got training that's helped me make a bunch of money and has kind of expanded my life in general. So, I like to just rep for the 10X brand in general. And, I'm on this kick where I'll put Grant Cardone on in the morning and just get hyped up. So that's why I brought the 10X book in, just to kind of like, I like to encourage people and I like to give credit where credit is due. And, a lot of what I'm doing in terms of mentality, like there's a book, right, by Grant. It's called Be Obsessed or Be Average. I didn't read the book. I just read the cover.
That was enough.
And that's all I needed, right? And then I'm like, dude, this is crazy. I just read the cover of this book and it helped me in martial arts. Just reading the cover. And then as I'm listening to a Grant video 6 months later, Grant's telling me, I picked up a book one time. I read the cover. That's all I needed. And then I'm like, dude, how is it that same thought process? And so there's something happening in the world, in the universe, that things are connected more than we probably understand. And so, I just feel that, if you align yourself even mentally or spiritually with people who are achieving the things you want to achieve, you are more likely to be in the vibration of achieving those same things. So
makes a lot of sense.
Right. So I'm out here trying to 10X my martial arts career. Let's go.
Let's go. I heard something yesterday. It said, if you want to be able to shop without looking at the price tag, you need to be able to work without looking at the clock. And I thought that was dope.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Right. Yeah. And so like even right now, last minute, hey, can you hop on the pod in the morning? I'm like, perfect. I'm on a recon mission. My buddy owns a luxury rental car company. His car, one of his Rolls Royces got stolen. So we're trying to find out where it's at. There's a tag, the house. It's a long story. I'm out 2-3 in the morning, but I'm like, you know what? Let's get it. So I can only fight whenever I have a fight opportunity. I can do unlimited podcasts. I can do unlimited media. So when you're talking about like, hey, if you want to shop without looking at the price tag, you got to work without looking at the clock. Well, that's my mentality coming into this. So it's interesting that you said that because it's like, let's get it.
And that's why I hit you up.
Right.
I mean, granted, I Fight Junkeez is my shit. I'm the host.
Right.
I do a lot with Fight Junkeez. I'm grateful for Fight Junkeez. But if I could have somebody who's a pro fighter come on and break down some fights, I'm going to ask. Of course, I could come in here. I could do it alone. I talk a lot. And shout out to everybody who talk shit to me and said I talk too much, because now I get paid to talk. Let's go. Oh, I'm on that today. I need another.
Hey, listen, let's get the screenshots out.
Let's go.
Remember when you said I talk too much? Well, I'm getting paid to talk.
Now I'm getting paid to talk, baby. Let's do it.
Right. What
Let's
are you
do
doing?
It.
Okay.
I'll be cage side at the Apex for the fights this Saturday.
How's managing that Wendy's going for you? Because you thought it was tight in high school and you're still doing it now. And now I'm out here with the top fighters on the planet, hanging out with Dana White, watching fights at the Apex. Let's get it.
Let's go, Fight Junkeez. Right. But yeah, I'm super stoked. And that's why I hit you up. I knew you'd come in. I know you're on that time and that energy. And I appreciate it. Our energy together is great. I do got to say, I I wanted to ask you one more thing.
I want to get us canceled so bad right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Well, I wanted to ask you before you do that. I'm only 2 months in. Let me make a ton of money first.
Okay.
Before we get off, we got like 6 minutes. I'm super stoked. Shout out to Fight Circus. They're doing their thing out in Thailand. They're doing all kinds of crazy shit. Maybe this question will get us canceled because they're doing some wild stuff in Thailand. Can you explain to me what is up with Fight Circus?
Well, Fight Circus is, we'll call them an equal opportunity employer, right? So in Thailand, right, they are much more inclusive than America is. So in the spirit of inclusivity, Fight Circus does things like has a transgendered woman fight a biological male. And in America, people look at that as that's two biological males fighting. But in Thailand...
Well, not everybody looks at it that way.
Right. But like... and an inclusive place like Thailand, that's looked at as, equal opportunity for a woman to fight a man because there's no biological difference, or there is, or whatever
they're just more open.
Whatever the person feels, right? And we go by feelings. So Thailand is allowing Fight Circus to do a lot of interesting.
They do like 2-on-1 and like crazy stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've had some situations in my personal life which turned into 2-on-1s. We're not going to talk about that. But in Fight Circus,
let's go.
Yeah, let's get it. Yeah. So they might have two people who happen to be little people fighting a normal size.
You guys want to hear something crazy?
Right.
And my wife, I proved it to her. You know the guy in the Wizard of Oz?
I was going to say your wife brought her friend, and then you got
a little person. No.
With two women. Anyway, okay.
No. We're obsessed with each other. We're never doing that.
Awesome. That's the best way to be.
She's my best friend, man.
Right.
She drives me crazy. Love you.
Okay.
I guarantee I drive her crazier than she drives me.
Story so bad right now.
No, I do have one.
Okay.
So, and then we'll end on this note. Everybody knows the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yes.
The little person who gave Dorothy the flowers on the yellow brick road is my great uncle.
Okay.
I don't know what else to say, but that's
Are they fighting in Fight Circus?
Well, he's been gone a while, but
listen,
I'm going to tell Fight Circus that story.
He was slanging it back then, and now he left a legacy. So
slanging it.
Right, and that's what we need. We need men to slang it, raise your kids, leave a legacy.
We need more men. We need more men.
Okay, yeah. And
I don't see a lot of people that walk around that look like me that are actually good people. Most people that look like me are degenerate scumbags who have, hurt a lot of people. But I want more strong men. And when I mean strong, I don't just mean physically. I mean emotionally stable, being able to protect your families. That's why I'm so drawn to the fighters and the energy with the fighter. You're so nice, bro. You could beat the shit out of everybody in this building, but you choose not to. And I think that's pretty cool because I don't want to get elbowed in the face. I do, have a Beretta next to me.
Yeah.
But
there's one person who I am afraid of in this facility.
I'm scared of John Orlando.
I was saying
I've seen him
her name is
angry.
Her name is Ro, and I did a podcast called The American Fan as well.
Oh, shout out the American
She'll
Fan.
be showing up any
Ro
minute
was
now.
ready to beat me up in the parking lot. She was ready to.
She might be next door now.
Right,
Yeah, they might be walking in any minute now.
That's who I'm afraid of in this building.
She's from Jersey.
Right.
Jersey girls. I try to tell people I'm from Jersey, from the Jersey Shore. Jersey girls will fight men. They will punt. Maybe she could go on Fight Circus with you. You guys can throw the fuck down. You never know.
It'll be 3 rounds. My hands are tied behind my back. She gets to hit me unlimited times, and I have to try and stay conscious. And if I can stay conscious, I win. And if she knocks me out, then she wins.
Hey, let's
we'll
do it.
Something like that.
Shout out the American Fan.
Fight Circus. Let's go. But so when we're talking about men and women, a lot of people want to blame the feminist movement. They want to blame the liberal woke agenda. But I feel like all this is being allowed because men aren't standing up, right? And had men done what men are supposed to do, then none of this would be happening. Because if you believe men are, pre-programmed by nature and God to be in a leadership position, then this just looks like a lack of leadership. So,
I think the aliens are going to come, and then AI is going to take over. It's not going to be Eddie Bravo. We got to get you on Fight Junkeez.
Look into it,
and we got to look into it. All right, guys. I had some fun. I appreciate you coming, man.
Yeah, man.
We got to get out of here. We got some more shows coming in.
Let's go.
Yeah, this weekend. Shout out Dana White. Got a couple tickets. I hit up Amber. Thank you, Amber. UFC Saturday at the Apex. First time. My dad, a veteran and a 9/11 first responder who lost 37 of his friends in the rubble, is going to be in that building right behind our building, hanging out. First time he gets to do something. My dad hasn't even asked for an attaboy. So I'm proud of him. I'm proud I get to do something for him, like take him to a fight and he get to, watch people get kicked in the face. So shout out to everybody. Fight Junkies, like, share, subscribe.
And can we clap it up for first responders? First responders, everybody. First responders.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Austin, thank you. You're the man. Love the hat. Bizarre Junkies. Follow Bizarre Junkies. Follow Action Junkies. Follow Latina Junkies. Follow Action Junkies. Follow Fitness Junkies. Follow all the junkie brands. Let's go.